if they don't make it to the finals, then this might be one of the biggest L's in NBA history.
Hot topics.
Embiid never had the mentality to win a championship. I don't think he ever will win a championship.
The best analysis.
But Jokic, he might be the best player in the league this season. He really might be the MVP.
This is the Full Court Report.
And we're back.
Yes, sir.
Episode number 20 of this 2024-2025 season. How you fellas doing?
Doing pretty good.
Doing pretty good myself. How about yourself, Jorie?
You know, good. Holiday season was fun. You know, we took a little break, but we're back. You know, we all got to rest up. But yeah. A lot has happened since the last time we have recorded an episode. We got a lot to talk about here, so but I figured we'd start here with Luka Doncic. He has suffered an injury. It's a calf strain. This happened on Christmas Day in their game against the Timberwolves. And reports are telling us that he will be reevaluated in 1 month. So he's going to be sidelined for quite a bit, unfortunately. But the Mavericks, they've fared pretty well without Luka in the games that he's missed. I believe they're 7-3 in the or 7-2 maybe in the games that Luka has already missed this season. So they kind of are handling business without him, but obviously not the type of player you want out of the lineup for too long. But how do you guys think this injury will impact the Mavericks moving forward?
I think Dallas might slide down the standings in the West a little bit. Luke is obviously a very large part of their offense, but they got Kyrie, they got Clay, they got PJ Washington, who's been playing very well this season. I think those three just got to step it up just a little bit and keep carrying the team. And, as long as they stay inside the play-in contention, I think they're all good. But I don't think they'll drop that far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it depends how bad the injury actually is. I agree with Justin. I feel like I think right now they're fourth in the standings in the West. So if they can avoid a 7th seed play-in tournament, I think they'll be in good shape. I think they can do it. I will say though, after I was watching some of their game yesterday against the Trailblazers, and they're just a completely different team without Luka. Like, I feel like, I don't know, it's way too much of a burden for Kyrie Irving to handle at this point in his career, even though he is obviously a very capable scorer, but it just changes the whole dynamic of the offense. And sometimes it looks like they don't know like who to go to and whatnot. And they ended up losing to the Trailblazers. So I do think they're going to slide a little bit. I feel like if they can, like Justin said, stay above that 7 seed and make it, 5th, 6th seed in the playoffs, I think they'll be in good shape. But that's, like I said, it's depends on how bad the injury is. If he could come back in a month and a half, they start winning games again, and I think they'll be completely fine.
Yeah, I think the big, you kept mentioning what the injury actually is, a calf strain. I feel like that's not the type of injury you want to mess around with, I think. Like we saw a couple years ago with Kevin Durant, I think there was a long period of time where he's with the Warriors dealing with a calf injury, and then we saw him in the finals tear his Achilles against the Raptors in 2019. So obviously that would be like worst case scenario, but I think there is a reason why they're going to be like extra cautious with Luka and keep him out. But like you said, Toby, I mean, I feel like there's a reason why, this team made the finals last year. Like Luka is fantastic, but this is a really well-built roster. Like you said, they got Kyrie. I thought Clay's, having a fine season. He's not, I don't know if he's exceeding expectations, but I feel like he's having a fine season for the Mavericks right now. Quentin Grimes has come over to Dallas, and he's actually playing pretty well, I think, for them. Obviously, like you said, you got PJ Washington. I think we could see Jaden Hardy get some more minutes with Luka out now. I also like Najee Marshall. I've always been a fan of him. He just got suspended, I think, uh, for a fight he had with Yusuf Nurkic. But shout out Najee Marshall whenever he comes back from that suspension. I think he's been really good for the Mavericks. But I don't know. I think, like you guys said, as long as they can stay afloat, I feel like there's so much. This happens quite often in the NBA where, you might lose a star for a handful of games, and that's what we always really say. You just got to stay afloat. You can't drop too far. Handle your business. But I think this team is a veteran team, and they got a lot of capable players that will help them get some wins while Luka's out. So I'm not really too worried about it right now.
And
Unrelated, I think this is going to ruin his MVP chances. So that
That's
segment we had a
yeah.
couple episodes ago about, yeah, I think it's going to be a repeat MVP guy this year, but who knows?
That's a great point, because there's now, a 65 game, you got to hit that 65 game mark to be eligible even to win awards. So there's probably a, good likelihood now Luka's going to be ineligible to win MVP. So like you said, opening up the door for SGA, Jokic, Giannis. So there you go.
And, kind of sort of related to that point, unrelated from, Luka's injury, but that does open up a all NBA first team spot, because before you almost lock in SGA, Luka, Tatum, Giannis, and Jokic. But now that one spot opens up for a guard, and I want to give a shout out to LaMelo Ball, dude. LaMelo Ball, he's top 5 in scoring and top 5 in assists, even though, uh Hornets aren't doing too well. I was talking a little trash about him earlier in the season, saying he's not locked in like that, and he's not really really he doesn't really try too hard, but he's proven me wrong.
I was going to say, Justin, I thought you were going to, because I think Luka is perennially like a first team player. So that would open up a spot in the first team. I thought you were going to say Brunson first team guard.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I
'Cause-
mean, I was looking at it earlier because I saw this post on Instagram about all this, and if it's not if it's not LaMelo, I would probably say it's Brunson.
Really? You think LaMelo's first team? I don't know. I think the record is going to hold him back.
Yeah, if the record means anything, they'll give Brunson the nod. But LaMelo's averaging 30 and like 8.5, bro, with like 5 rebounds to go with it. So
Yeah. No, he's having a great season. Can't forget about Shea too. Shea obviously gonna get that one of those guard spots. But I don't know. We'll probably talk about that at some point.
yeah,
All NBA. But yeah, like we said, I mean, Luka, get well soon, hopefully, and Dallas, just handle your business. That's what you gotta do. But moving on, we got another big piece of news. I think this is the first firing of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Mike Brown, he's out as the Sacramento Kings coach. This was reported on Friday. At the time of the firing, the Kings were on a 5-game losing streak, and they had lost 12 of their last 17 games. That final game, I don't know if you guys saw, it was kind of a crazy game. It was against the Pistons. The Kings were leading by 3 with about 10 seconds to go. And the ball kind of just gets swung around. The Pistons have the ball. Gets kind of swung around the perimeter. It finds the hands of Jaden Ivey in the corner. And it's just a kind of a sloppy closeout, maybe you could say, by De'Aaron Fox. He knocks down the 3 and converts the 4-point play. Kings lose the game. And that's the final game we'll see as Mike Brown as the head coach of that team. And it's just, I don't know. That felt like an encapsulation of what this team is. Like, just super talented, but just really don't understand why they're just unable to win games, especially down the stretch. But really, my question is, do you guys think it's time to blow it up in Sacramento?
no, not even close. Not even close. They just went out and got DeMar DeRozan. They have plenty of more talent off the bench, with Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, all these other guys. they're a good team. I couldn't tell you why they're losing. I have not watched, I don't think, a single Kings game this season. I don't know if they're dealing with injuries or whatever the case is, but they're too good of a team to blow it up. Like they have two, they have DeMar, they have Sabonis, they have Fox. Those are three-star players it's too much. It's too much to start a rebuild. So I don't know if, what the coaching situation is going to be, if they're just going to take an assistant and bump them up, or if they'll go and get Adrian Griffin or, whoever they go after. I was looking at the roster, and I definitely think they need some big man depth behind Sabonis. I think that their next best guy is Alex Len. So, maybe make a little move for, a little other big man, and then see what the coaching situation looks like. I think they could still make a run for the playoffs.
I don't know. I'm on the fence, but Justin made some good points. But I think it might be time to start from scratch. I don't know. It's they've had De'Aaron Fox for what, like 6 years at this point. I think
Probably even
made.
longer.
I think they only made the playoffs once since they've had him, and he is coming out and he's starting to look like, one of the best point guards in the league. But I feel like, especially now, like nowadays in the NBA, it's not as difficult to start a rebuild and be good in a couple years. Like we saw that with the Thunder. They just completely sold ship, and after they made the playoffs with Chris Paul, they went in a completely new direction, and now they're the best team in the NBA. So I feel like it's definitely possible. It's difficult because they're in Sacramento, so I feel like it's they will have a really hard time trying to get like free agents to sign, especially with them being such like a small market team. I don't know. I feel like right now they can get a lot for De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, and just stockpile on draft picks, be bad for a couple of years. They're used to it already, and then see what they can do.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I wanted to mention this. So Mike Brown, he won Coach of the Year in 2023. That was so I think it was 16 consecutive seasons the Kings had missed the playoffs. Mike Brown comes in his first year, they get back to the playoffs. So that was like a huge point in this, franchise really to end that playoff drought. But since 2008, there are now only 4 coaches coaches of the year, I should say, that still have their job with their respective teams. Greg Popovich, Steve Kerr, your guy Tom Thibodeau, and Mark Daigneault with the OKC Thunder, who won last year. So he's still, very early on with that team. But yeah, I mean, this really kind of surprised me. I think Michael Malone, who's the head coach of the Nuggets, said something, really true, because he was the coach of the Kings under the same ownership group, I guess, and he was fired before he was the coach of the Nuggets. He essentially said, when they have success, all the credit goes to De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. When they lose, all the blame goes to Mike Brown. And it's not fair, but that's just the way it is. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening. Like, they're having an underwhelming season, right? Like, they're trying to get back to the playoffs, and they didn't make it last year, and they're off to, not the best start. They got to change something with this team. Like you said, they've already invested so much with getting DeMar DeRozan over the offseason. So it's tough, man. It's a tough spot, and I'm not saying a new coach is going to come in and really change a bunch, but you got to do something, I think, if you're Sacramento. In terms of rebuilding, I'm kind of at the point where I feel like this team might need to restart, because De'Aaron Fox was actually offered an extension over the summer, but he turned it down. So he has, I think, after next season, he could be an unrestricted free agent. So again, the clock seems like it's ticking there. DeMar DeRozan, I mean, he's 36 years old. I'm not saying he's not having a good season, but not really like a long-term option, I guess. Like you kind of want him to, be on a winning team right now, I think. And then Sabonis, I mean, again, like he might be honestly the most valuable, like in terms of a trade asset because it's just like the way he can impact the game, both offensively and defensively with his rebounding. So I don't know. I think there's a lot to be intrigued here with this roster. I think you might have to just play it out this season and then reevaluate over the summer. But again, it's just not looking great right now with the Kings.
I don't know. They're too good, in my opinion, to start a rebuild. I do agree that they need to reevaluate at the end of this season, depending on if they can, get into the play-in or whatever. But who knows what they're going to be doing with the coaching situation.
I agree with Mike Malone a little bit too. No class, no balls.
Yeah.
Especially if it was the way that he said that they did it, like him driving and they just call him up and say, "Hey, you're fired" after the game. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, not the best look if it's true. But just a crazy situation. Just felt like this team was really on the come up, and I don't know, it just came crashing down. It seems like so quickly, but that's how the NBA goes, man. It's just how it goes. So I guess that's definitely a situation we'll be monitoring throughout the rest of the season here. But I kind of wanted to rewind, go back in time, and talk about some of these Christmas Day games and what you guys thought, what you saw on Christmas Day, because I do feel like Christmas Day is not only a big day in and of itself, just a lot of great teams playing against one another, but it does feel like a turning point in the NBA schedule where it's like, I think Christmas Day is one of them, and then post All-Star break is another one where it feels like kind of the energy really shifts. Guys are in mid-season form, you can say, so basketball is going to get a little bit more competitive. But in terms of the Christmas Day games, I was just curious what you guys thought was the most impressive performance, whether that be a player or just a whole team. What do you guys think?
In my opinion, the best game was Philly and Boston. I was talking to Toby about this the other day. Maybe even, as it was happening. It's a big statement game from Philly, I think. They finally had their big three healthy. The Celtics were fully healthy up until Kristaps left the game after only 13 minutes of playing. But Philly comes in, gets a W in Boston on Christmas Day. They're fully healthy. And I was saying this last week when we were talking about the Sixers or the Lakers, who had a better chance of making the playoffs. Philly scares me, dude, because, who knows what's going to happen with Joel Embiid and, them staying healthy throughout the regular season. But if they get into that play-in, they're 7 or 8 seed or a 6 seed maybe, and they face the Knicks first round, bro, I'm a little scared of a healthy Philly. Like, this game kind of shows everybody what they're about. They beat, defending champions, second best in the East. Came out and got a dub on Christmas Day. Like, that's a big game, in my opinion. So, shout out Philly. But other than that, shout out my boy Mikal Bridges. Need to sign this apology form. I was hating. I was questioning his greatness, but I think he found it. I think he found his groove over there in New York.
I told you he would. I told you he would.
Yeah.
I quite honestly, I didn't get a chance to watch all the Christmas games just due to the fact that I was moving around and whatnot, with family and stuff. I did get to watch some of them, and in my opinion, I think that Philly game was impressive, but I think the
Lakers Warriors game was at least maybe the funnest game to watch, and it was an impressive win for the Lakers too. Just you know, I don't know. I would have rather seen Warriors Suns personally, and then Lakers versus Nuggets. But I think them beating a high contender in the West. I think the most impressive performance was Austin Reeves, who I believe, had a 26-point triple double, and he hit the game winner. So he was just balling out. Yeah, I don't know. Christmas Day, I feel like for certain players, it just brings out the best of them. And I thought the Warriors were going to get it done. I thought Steph Curry, Christmas Day, was going to be Steph Curry and take care of them. But I think that was the most impressive, and I think it was the funnest game to watch too. And Draymond Green was just he was just like, I don't know, terrorizing the Lakers squad. So that was funny.
Yeah, no, they were all of them really good games, really good matchups, down to the wire games. It was a good day of basketball.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. Shout out the Lakers. Austin Reeves, that was fun. I think, whenever you do something like that, when everybody's watching, that's definitely awesome. But personally, I thought Victor Wembanyama. The Spurs, they lost. Yes, they lost to the Knicks. Like you said, Justin McHale, I think he had 41 points, was it?
Yeah.
So, they lost to a really good team. But Wemby, 42 points, 18 rebounds, 4 blocks, 4 assists. I mean, and I forget, I think he had 6 threes in the game as well. So only Wilt Chamberlain, who scored 45 points, and Tracy McGrady, who scored 43 points, scored more on their Christmas game or Christmas Day debut. So shout out Wemby. And he also broke the Spurs Christmas Day record for points. But
That's
that was set by
impressive.
LaMarcus Aldridge in 2016. He had 33.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I know. All the greats they've had that have definitely played on Christmas Day. So I really thought Wemby really stood out to me. And I think, I don't know. The Spurs in general, he just makes that team so interesting. I feel like Wemby can be truly like an all-time level player where we look back and he's in those GOAT conversations. I just think he impacts like basically every single play, it feels like, both offensively and defensively. When he has the ball, he's obviously a threat. When he doesn't have the ball in offense, obviously a huge threat, just given his size. Like, he can catch passes no one else can even reach. And then obviously defensively, he can make an impact. People are always worrying about where is Wemby standing? Can I even get a shot off right now? Like, it's really insane what he can do. And he put together really an incredible performance on Christmas Day in a loss, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I wanted to talk about more of that Lakers Warriors game. I didn't watch it. I did see Austin Reeves was going off, but I looked at the box score. It seems like AD got hurt. I don't know what happened. I have no clue what happened. He only played for like 7 or 8 minutes. And Steph went off, but the Warriors lost, and I've been thinking about it. Every time we mention something, like Mikal Bridges was stinking it up, and then ever since then he started playing well. Ever since we talked about the Warriors way earlier in the season when they were playing well, it seems like ever since that episode they've been taking L's and L's and L's. So, I don't know what's going on with the Warriors, why they started off hot, but they've been stinking recently, but they got to figure it out. They got to get that groove back.
Yeah, no, definitely interesting to look at. Because like you said, they were like one of the best. They had one of the best starts this season, but they've since cooled off. So, who knows? Maybe they try and make a trade soon, try and get some more help. But it's kind
I
of.
think the Warriors need to rebuild.
That
Not with
does.
Steph Curry on the team
He's got to retire.
because he ain't going
Wow.
anywhere.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
just signed an
yeah.
extension.
I don't think he'll leave, but who knows? They got rid of Clay. Everybody was like, "Oh,
Clay's not Steph.
him and Curry staying together forever. The Splash Bros can't separate them." And then
Hey, man. Yeah, it does kind of feel like the clock is ticking there in Golden State, but they're still going to be competitive. Might not be what they used to be, but it is what it is. Well, yeah, Christmas Day again. Shout out all of those performances, but I kind of wanted to do something more, with the holiday theme. We got New Year's coming up, so I figured we'd all pick a team or a player around the league and come up with a New Year's resolution. Something you'd like to see them accomplish during the remainder of the NBA season here. So again, you guys can really go in any direction you'd like. But
Toby, do you have a New Year's resolution for a team?
I do because I know you chose I believe the Lakers. So I have a kind of a resolution for the Spurs, the San Antonio Spurs, or maybe you can call it more of like a goal. But I just want them to make the play-in, which is easier said than done. I think right now
Obtainable.
they're about a ninth seed. They're like they might be just over 500, but I think I've seen too many times where a team has a star player, like a rookie, second year, third year player, and they just cannot make the playoffs, and then the player is frustrated. He wants to end up going somewhere else. The team has to rebuild. I don't want that happening with the Spurs. I don't see that happening with the Spurs, especially with a coach like Greg Popovich and Chris Paul. And I want to see the Spurs make a splash in the trade market before the trade deadline. I think they can get somebody from one of those Pelicans guys, maybe somebody like CJ McCollum, who can bring a little bit of offense to the team. And I think asking for a 6 seed finish is a bit too much. So I'm saying just keep playing where you're at, make a trade, make your team a little bit more competitive and make the play. And I think they can, depending on who they play, I think they can win a play-in series and get to the first round. But that's my resolution.
I have a very similar one for the Lakers. Um, I don't know if I'm stealing your thunder here, Jory, but the Lakers just traded D'Angelo Russell and Maxwell Lewis for Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton from the Brooklyn Nets. So D'Lo's going back to Brooklyn. That's kind of tough, but I think Dorian Finney-Smith is a great pickup for the Lakers. Just a perfect role guy. Does not need the ball in his hands like at all. Could just spot up, shoot, plays good defense. And I think they need to make more trades like that. Um, Currently they still have Jared Vanderbilt, Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent, and Christian Wood, who I think are all tradable assets. I think you can very easily find a new spot for them. And you stole my idea, Toby. I think CJ McCollum would be a great pickup for the Lakers, even though, they just got rid of D'Lo, needs the ball in his hands. CJ needs the ball in his hands, but I feel like CJ McCollum's just more of a veteran. I feel like he just kind of might have better basketball IQ. I don't really know how to say it. He just might be a better fit. Like it might just be that simple. He just might work out better with them. Um, I do think that they should keep the trade, like smaller. I don't think they need to make a big splash for another star. However, I think Trey Young would be a great fit with LeBron and AD, but I don't think that's very realistic. Um, in my opinion, though, I think that they should go for another big man. Um, I saw that Yusuf Nurkic, I think, was on the trade block. I think the Suns said that they would trade him, but they want a serviceable big man in return, which, other than AD, the Lakers don't really have. They could go for Nick Richards or Valanciunas. But, you know, all that said, I think the New Year's resolution for the Lakers is to make another solid trade at the deadline and make a good playoff push, because right now the Lakers are the 5th seed. So they're in the playoffs at this point in time. Don't need to worry about a play-in game. They need to stay at that level. They need to stay at that level. And, you know, who knows? Even though he's an old man, LeBron James can't ever count him out.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's a good one. And we talked about last week or last episode, like who do you guys think is more likely to make the playoffs, the Lakers or the Sixers? And I think it's pretty clear right now, at least the Lakers are on track. But yeah, they're definitely an interesting team, and you know, making that trade, bringing in Dorian Finney-Smith, I feel like that's a solid trade. Like, I think the ball handling responsibilities right now go so much to LeBron and Austin Reeves. Like D'Angelo Russell kind of didn't really have much of a role in that sense, and I think he's still a good player, but I just don't know if he's getting the touches that he needs to show that. So bringing in Dorian Finney-Smith, who, you know, more of like a spot up shooter, defender, really good defender, versatile defender. So I think that's a really solid pickup for the Lakers. But for myself, I'm going to Detroit, the Pistons here. It's kind of in line with what you were just saying, Toby. But I say Detroit, you guys got to go and win a play-in game. That's what I said. Right now, they are 10th in the Eastern Conference, so they would be the last seed in the play-in game. And if it were today, they would play Chicago in the 9-10 game. So like I said, go win a play-in game. I don't know. Maybe you can sneak into the playoffs. I don't know how likely that is, but we'll see. I think a big reason why I'm saying this is because I believe in Cade Cunningham. Like, I'm starting to really believe in Cade Cunningham into being like he's definitely gonna be an all NBA like type player, I think, moving forward. I think he's really starting to figure it out. He's taken a leap this year. He's averaging career highs in points with 24 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, and 9.7 assists per game. So a really good stat line there for Cade, shooting 36% from three. Detroit hasn't had an all-star since 2019. Do you guys want to guess who that was?
Blake Griffin.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So
Oh, man.
yeah, you know, it's been a while since they've had like a player at this level at least. So I think Cade is definitely in line to get to the All-Star game this year. But outside of that, I'm not really sure where I stand with a lot of these players, you know, on this Pistons team. I think Jaden Ivey's having a solid season, but I just feel like when Cade goes to the bench, he's not taking over, you know, as that lead guy like I think he can or thought he could. I don't know. I think he's having a good season, but I feel like they need to bring in another player. And you guys were just mentioning CJ McCollum as a player that, you know, would be good for like, you know, the Lakers or whoever. But I think, you know, a guy like Brandon Ingram in Detroit would be like a huge boost to this team. I feel like they kind of lack that shot creation that Cade brings when he goes to the bench. So if you get a guy like Brandon Ingram, because outside of Jaden Ivey, you know, they have Tobias Harris, who they brought in, who's, you know, not a bad player, but, you know, not really generating a ton of offense by himself. Same thing with Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway, like two good scorers, but again, not someone you're like giving the ball to like late in games and going to get a bucket type players. So I feel like getting a guy like Ingram could really help this team because I feel like they have a good defense around Cade. They got Asar Thompson, who I think is a really solid defender, good athlete. They drafted Ron Holland this year, who's I think who could, you know, just a really interesting player. And they have Jalen Duren still, who's still very young. I think he's like 22 years old. You know, solid, like not, you know, he's like a low usage center. They don't really ask him to do too much on offense, but I think he definitely makes an impact. So I don't know. I'm just interested about this Pistons team and the direction they go. But I feel like they got to start winning some games, some meaningful games, because I think Cade is like a legit, like, could be a superstar here down the line.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, he has been dealing with injuries a little bit here and there throughout, the start of his career, but I'm surprised it's taken people this long to get on the Cade wave. I knew that guy was going to be a hooper day one. I could just see
Well,
it.
yeah, I think a lot of people. I mean, he was the number one pick. Like, I think a lot
Yeah.
of people expected him to be really good, but I think the Pistons just have not won games. I'm pretty sure they haven't won more than 23 games since that 2019 season when they had Blake Griffin as an All-Star.
That's crazy.
So, and last year they had the 28 game losing streak. I think it was like the longest in NBA history. They only won 14 games last year. So, like, Cade, might be playing very well, but I think we've always looked at it as like, all right, they're literally like the worst team in the NBA.
Yeah.
What does it really mean? But, they have 14 wins already this year, so they've already matched last year's total. So there you go. But yeah, I don't know. Just really, I just want to see this team start being a little bit more competitive, and hopefully they bring in some veterans, maybe win now players to help get this thing going.
No, I really do like Brandon Ingram in Detroit would be tough.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just feel like he would be available.
And I feel like the Pistons have, outside of those couple of guys who you named who, I feel like most of them probably are untradeable. I don't know. You could probably get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley, but you definitely want to keep, like Guy, the center you just named. I don't know why I can't think of his name.
Jalen
Jalen
Duren?
Duren.
Yeah, Jalen Duren. You got to keep him. You got to keep Jaden Ivey. And, I feel like you have plenty of assets that you can move to get Brandon Ingram, especially. I think you can definitely get that deal done.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
And
But
don't the Pistons have Sadiq Bey too? Or am I tripping?
it says here that he plays for the Wizards now. I think he was on the
What?
Pistons for a while, but he's since
Yeah.
moved on.
The Wizards. Wizards are terrible.
Yeah. So, shout out all these teams, and hopefully they all accomplish their New Year's resolutions we've set out for them. But yeah. Any parting words?
Man, I don't even know. Knicks, New York Knicks, 4 players: OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and Jalen Brunson. First team in NBA history to have 4 players put up 40 before New Year's Day.
Nice.
That's impressive. I didn't know that.
The
Shout
offense
out to
is
the New
going
York
off.
Knicks. Yes, sir. Can't wait until Mitchell Robinson comes back. That interior defense.
There you go.
We'll be looking good. We'll be looking like a good old team right there.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to mention one thing real quick before we sign off.
You are my sunshine.
I just wanted to mention, so
sunshine. You make me happy.
December 30th, I believe 1984, if I'm not wrong, the world we received a gift. The basketball world received a gift. LeBron James. He turns 40 years old today. Tomorrow. Well, today. Well, when we release this, it'll be today. Whatever. We all know. He started his career in 2003 at the ripe age of 18 years old. And he's blessed us with his on-court play for 21 seasons, 22 seasons. I don't even know. I should have prepared better for this. But shout out LeBron James. Happy birthday.
My glorious king.
Our glorious king, LeBron James.
The GOAT.
Not my goat.
Bah,
Not my goat.
bah.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday to Guy, though.
Happy birthday. But All right, that's all I
At
wanted.
40, right? He's gonna be 40.
40 years old.
Oh my god.
And I wrote down, so there's some notable players who wanted to mention that, I've played into their 40s. Obviously, this is honestly, like, as funny as it is, this is actually very impressive. So, like, shout out LeBron. But other players, Kareem, he played till he was 41. Michael Jordan, he turned 40 years old during that final season with the Wizards. Dirk, he played till he was 40. Kevin Willis, he was one of the oldest players ever, or to ever play an NBA game at 44. Vince Carter, who recently retired, he played till he was 43. And Dikembe, who just recently passed away, rest in peace, he played until he was 42. So, I don't know how many more years we got of LeBron, but he's joined, again, another elite list of players to have played into their 40s. So, shout out LBJ.
I don't know how much longer it'll be until Bryce gets a shot at the league, but he's got to stay around until Bryce gets in the league.
No.
It's quit hating, Toby. Appreciate greatness while you can.
Yeah, just a historic season for LeBron James, playing with his son, turning 40 years old. So shout out LeBron.
About to win a 5th championship.
Yeah,
Except actually probably not, because he's going to lose to the
Smith,
Knicks.
man.
He's going to lose to the Knicks.
We'll see. But all right, well, that's all I needed to say.
Shout out Papa Dak on Instagram. Guy just liked our reel.
All right, yeah, shout out Papa Dak.
All right, dude.
Thanks for the support. But until next time, we'll be seeing you.